Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to make a follow-up Airbnb video. I've been kind of getting more comments in regards to some of my Airbnb videos that I've made previously. So today I wanted to do the top 3 pros and cons of being an Airbnb host. So to kind of give you a little bit of a backstory of my experience, I've been an Airbnb host for about 2 years so far. I've had 2 apartments, and I've also done it with a townhome that I own currently right now. So I kind of have a diverse background. I've done the apartment arbitrage, and I've also done it with a property that I've owned. So I feel like I have a decent amount of experience to kind of give you my feedback of pros and cons of being an Airbnb host. Right now, I have my property listed on Airbnb as well as VRBO, and I'm transitioning to Furnish Finders. Furnish Finders is a website that's more geared towards professionals. And, you know, this past year has been a little bit more challenging than my first year. The type of customers or clients and guests I've had. So after this lease that I have right now with this apartment, I think this will be my last year probably with Airbnb once this lease is up. But I did want to give you the top 3 pros and cons for anyone that's considering becoming an Airbnb host. So I wrote it down on a little sticky note here, and you know what, let's start with the cons. Okay, so Airbnb has gotten super popular over the years. They've got commercials now. It's there's ads on Instagram kind of promoting Airbnb and also promoting people to become an Airbnb host. So therefore, it's kind of becoming oversaturated. Now, I like to always think, don't let anyone stop you from pursuing something that you want to do, right? So I had people discourage me from trying to become an Airbnb host or starting Airbnb, and they said that it was oversaturated, too many people were doing it. At that time, it was pre-pandemic, or the pandemic was getting ready to, it was in the works, right? So a lot of people were actually giving up their short-term rentals and quitting Airbnb. So that was a perfect time for me to come in because there wasn't really much competition, which is why hence my first property did so well because of the location. And honestly, I just didn't have that much competition. Fast forward now, this past year, one of the locations that I have, pretty much, I would say about 50 to 60% of that apartment complex is pretty much geared towards Airbnb. So as you pull up, you'll actually see people with their luggage. It's so apparent that the majority of the complex is actually pretty much Airbnb hosts. So with that being said, this particular property I have is totally oversaturated, which is why it's been a little bit more challenging for me to get the type of guests that I was getting previously. Because I always preach to people to, you know, have a property in the medical center, because at the time when I had first started, that was, you know, a great location for me. Now it seems like everyone has the same idea as myself, so there's more competition. So with that being said, it's a little oversaturated, but at the same time, guys, like, I would say, honestly, if you want to start, still do it. But I feel like you have to be a little bit more creative with either your decorating, whether you're going to have a house. So just kind of like see what works for you, and you're definitely going to have to set yourself apart from everybody else. Another con is Airbnb is heavily based on reviews, to the point where one bad review can totally mess you up, totally mess up that listing, to the point where you might even have to start all the way over. So in the beginning, your first 10 reviews, you really want them to be 5-star. And I find that with every detailed now review that I get, the more people are interested in my property. So for example, I've noticed when I get guests that leave like one word or who are very vague, I don't really get as much traction to my property. But when I get those reviews that are well thought out and they really talk highly about how I treated them, the type of customer service I provided, and all the amenities that are in the actual Airbnb, that's when I start getting more people that are interested, and I'm able to charge more because people are seeing that my customers are having a great experience. So reviews are so important. You guys already know that, but it's not just getting reviews, it's getting well thought out, detailed reviews that count. So, I mean, you really can't control that. People are going to write what they want to write, right? There are times when I've gone above and beyond for guests and they just say, great host. That's it. So all that work was like really for nothing. So that's number 2 for my cons. And then my last con is, lately, I don't know what's going on, but some of the guests have become just so rude. And it's a customer-based industry, right? So, not everyone's going to be nice, but it has gotten to the point where I've had people book and what they were saying was a little bit inappropriate to the point where I had to go back and call Airbnb and cancel that reservation because I felt uncomfortable with allowing that guest stay at my property. So you really want to vet your clients or your guests, I should say. You want to see like, why are you coming? But in a polite way, kind of see the agenda, because you really want to steer away from the people that are coming to party, which is not even allowed on Airbnb anymore, but you want to steer away from those guests, people who are also trying to bargain with you and lower the price. That's another red flag. My price is my price and you're getting what the property is worth. So if you're trying to bargain with me, that's kind of a red flag. And those are things that kind of let me know that this guest is probably going to be an issue. But on another note, let's start with some of the cons. Let's start with some of the pros. So pro number 1, it is very easy to set up and start Airbnb. You just need to be able to get a solid property. You need to be able to get some furniture in there, and voila, you're an Airbnb host. So it's very easy to get started. You don't have to go through any type of certification, nothing specific. Even when you go to create your listing, for the most part, you're not going to get any stops unless you have a property at an apartment complex that requires for them to approve the listing before you can actually list it on Airbnb. So that's one thing a lot of people don't realize and don't know. When you get a lease with some of these apartment complexes, when you do it the right way, it's going to be in the leasing agreement that you're allowed to have a short-term rental. But also, if they're allowing it, they're probably going to take a percentage. Most of the time it's 15%, and they're probably also going to have to verify your listing before you can even post it. Sometimes they'll verify it within hours. Sometimes it's in days. So that means you're going to be missing out on money that you could be making because you're waiting for the property manager to approve your property. But let's say you don't have to go through any of that. You're starting with your house. There is no verification that you have to go through. Just have a property and go ahead and list it. So for the most part, it's an easy startup. And number 2 pro is that this is an easy way to start your entrepreneur journey, creating some type of way for you to have another stream of income outside of the job that you have right now. So, you're going to learn how to run a business and how to interact with your guests and how to manage issues that might come up when you have guests. So no matter what, it's going to be a great experience for you to gain so that you can either see if this is something that you want to continue doing full time, just keep it part time, or move on to another business venture or idea that you have. So either way, I always feel like it's good for people to get that business experience. And number 3 is you're able to create passive income. So it's passive, but you got to put a little bit of work into it, right? So, if you have a good team, you're going to need to get a team together because you don't want to do this by yourself. If you do it by yourself, it's not going to be passive. But if you have the right people who are with you, who are trying to help you with this, get it up and running, you have the right software, things like that, it can be passive. You can literally run your listing, your Airbnb from your iPhone. I'm recording actually with my iPhone. So a lot of times I when I'm communicating with my guests and getting things done, it's from my phone because I still have a full-time job as a registered nurse. So I like that aspect that I'm able to actually run my business from my phone. And then need be, if I have to go out to the property to fix something or handle an issue, then, you know, I'll go out there. But at the end of the day, any business that you have is going to require for you to be present. So those are my 3 pros and cons. I hope you guys were able to learn something from this video. Please like and subscribe if you like this content. And thank you for watching. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.